Welcome back, designers. In today's tutorial, I will demonstrate to you how we're going to be creating a digital portfolio to document the work that we've done this school year using Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to take you through my portfolio from the past school year, so this includes work that I did with my students from 2016 through 2022. Yours obviously will not be quite as intensive because we've only known each other for the past few months, and it's probably not going to have as many artworks, but it should give you a pretty good idea nonetheless. I created this portfolio using Sway, to which we all have access on our student and teacher portals. We're going to do a brief bio, letting the portfolio viewer know a little bit about ourselves. We're going to write an artist statement talking about the challenges that we overcame this school year and some of the projects for which we are most proud. If you have any links, like I have links to my YouTube channel, you can always include them. That is, if they support your work in digital design. For example, if you have your artwork posted on Instagram, you can always link to it here in your portfolio. And then we're going to show off our projects. Now, I have industry certificates. If you have an industry certificate for Adobe, then of course you're able to show it off. If you don't, you can just go and skip that. We're going to move on to the section that shows off projects. So you can see how I'm starting off each section by documenting my projects within Photoshop, and then later as I scroll through my portfolio, I include projects using InDesign and then some using Illustrator. You can see I have a wide array of projects, some of which will be familiar to you, such as the pop art portrait that we all did as a class, and some of them which may be unfamiliar, which are things that I did with previous school years but didn't do this school year with you, such as the aged self-portrait. So you can include things like your typographic portrait, like this example. You can see when I click on the image how it expands so that any viewer can go and take a closer look at the design. And you'll see that each of the images, as I scroll through them, are going to be uniformly sized. So for example, this collage is the same size roughly as some of these typographic designs that I did with my students in years past. You'll see that for some of these, because they had multiple pages, like this magazine spread that I did with an advanced class one year, I was able to then put it in a slideshow so that the person knew it was part of the same project and they could just kind of flip through them. Likewise, this book cover that again I did with an advanced class, you can see how I put them all within a slideshow to just make it easier. So if you're ready, we're going to go and get started and design our very own portfolio together. To get started, we're going to click on Office 365 in our Dade Schools portal. Some of you may have used Office 365 to create different Word documents and access different things on PowerPoint. You'll see that Sway is kind of hidden from the application seen here, so what you can do is click on the little waffle that's going to launch the different apps supported by Office 365, and then you're going to click on Sway. I have many Sway presentations, so you're not going to see as many on your platform, but that's okay. We're going to click Create New. We're going to dismiss this annoying message, and the first thing we're going to do is title our portfolio. You will be using your first and last name, and you guys are going to write Design Portfolio and include the dates of the work that you're putting on display. So this portfolio is going to include works from 2023 through 2024. This is going to function as our title card. We're going to click the little plus sign, and then we're going to add some text. The first thing that I want to do is include a heading. This is going to be the heading for my bio. I already pre-wrote my bio. All you have to do is write a little statement about your background, maybe your career aspirations, what is the respective date where you anticipate graduating from high school, and so forth. We're going to click the plus sign again. We're going to click on text, and this one is going to be the artist statement. You guys are going to respond to the questions that I put in Schoology for your artist statement. For the moment, because I do not have an updated artist statement, I'm going to copy and paste my previous artist statement. And then later, I can go on and you'll see that I'm trying to bold the headings. To bold something in Sway, all you have to do is highlight it and click where it says emphasize. Now that I wrote my bio and artist statement, I'm going to click the plus sign again, and this is where I'm going to be able to add the images that are going to be included in my portfolio. To make my life easier, I'm going to click where it says stack. And then what I can do is add multiple images to my stack. So I'm going to click where it says add content and upload. I have a folder on my computer which contains several different images that I want to include in my portfolio. Sway is only going to let you upload images in JPEG, GIF, and PNG formats. So what I want to start by doing is selecting the images that I've created here in class for my examples, and I'm going to upload them one by one to my Sway by selecting them. You can hold down Control to select multiple images. This one is a PDF, however, so I'm going to need to not include it. And then you're going to click Open and drag that inside of the stack. The benefit of using the stack is that you can apply formatting uniformly. So if I click on the box that says stack, you can see that it's now active because it has this green outline around it. I'm going to select the middle option right here that sets the emphasis to moderate. And I'll show you why momentarily. I want all of the images to be uniform in size. When I click play up here on this little black ribbon, I'm able to see what my portfolio looks like in real time. This is how viewers would be able to see it when I give them a link to click on the portfolio. So I would like all the images to appear roughly about the same size. Right now they're stuck in this stack of images that you have to click on. Momentarily, I'm going to change that into a grid. But I wanted to make sure they were all uniform in size so that they would look professional. I'm going to click Edit again. And if I select the first emphasis to subtle, you guys are going to see that the images are going to appear too small. So I want to select moderate. If I select the last option, which is intense, the images might be a little too big. So you want to select moderate. If we click on group type, we'll be able to select different ways that we can uniformly program our images to be displayed. Grid is going to put them all into a gridded layout. If I click play, you'll see that now all the images are kind of side by side, and instead of clicking on them, they're all kind of uniformly placed next to each other. If I click on slideshow, I'm going to select the middle slideshow, which has little thumbnails of every image underneath, and then click play to preview. You guys will see that all of the images are contained within a slideshow that you have to click on to flip through. And I can always expand on any given image by clicking on it. What you guys will notice is that regardless of the group that I select, so for example, let's say I select stack, which is the default, several of these images get cut off. For example, let me show you in slideshow again. My color wheel is getting cut off. Likewise, my typographic portrait is getting cut off, and I don't like that. I think that looks sloppy. To fix that, I can go and click on each image one by one, so you can see how I clicked on the color wheel. I can select where it says focus points and click the little box where it says entire image is important. And so when I go view that image in preview mode, none of it will get cut off. I'm going to do that right here to this flyer. I'm going to click focus points. Entire image is important. I'm basically clicking on every image one by one and updating the focus points. When I click play to preview it, you'll see that now each of the images is uniformly placed inside of the slideshow. It looks a lot more professional when the image is not getting cut off. I'm going to go back to edit mode. And what I would like to do is next to every image that I'm going to be putting in my slideshow, I want to include a title, the media, so in this case it would be Adobe Photoshop, approximate date in which this was made. If I recall correctly, this was around October of 2023. And then I want to include a little caption. For the title, you don't have to think about it too hard. I'm just going to call it color wheel, keeping it nice and simple. But you do want to be able to refer to it. I'm going to click emphasize so I can bolden that title. And underneath, I'm going to write a little caption. And the caption is going to talk about some of the more successful parts of this project. So what is it about this color wheel that I enjoyed? What is it about this color wheel that I think makes it a successful design? So you can see in my description, I just talked about what I did for that project to elaborate it on Photoshop, the adjustment that I used to colorize each image, and what I liked about it. So it's very, very simple. It's going to be 1 or 2 lines talking about what you felt was most successful in that project. And I'm essentially going to go and repeat that for every single image in my stack. Okay, designers, I paused the recording and I took a moment to go and organize my photos within the slideshow and work on the captions for each photo. As you can see, each of the images is presented in a chronological order, meaning I'm starting with the first image that I'm presenting, in this case my color wheel, and then moving on gradually to current day, with my last projects for the moment being my election posters and the Design Stars flyer that I created in April of 2024. So you want to try to organize your images so that they present a gradation and it shows progress from the very first few projects that we created in class to the last few images that we worked on together. You also want to make sure that each of them includes the caption information as I went over before. For the moment, I have 6 projects that I'm exhibiting in my portfolio. I want to include at least 10 minimum projects in my design portfolio. Several of my images that I exported are in PDF format, and unfortunately, Sway will not be able to display PDF. So if you have any projects that are in PDF, what you're going to do is open Photoshop. Then we're going to open the file for that project. So you can see that I had an updated shoe design that I had saved in PDF format because I did 2 shoes basically in one multi-page PDF. Regardless, I'm going to go and click on it. I'm going to click open, and it's going to show me the format that I had saved in before. So it says updated shoe PDF. That's fine. I'm going to click OK. And now I won't be able to edit any of the layers because remember, I had already saved this as a PDF. Regardless, what I'm going to take the moment to do now is go to File, Export, Export As, and now I'm going to take this one page in my PDF and I can select from either of these options to export it in. Again, Sway will accept either PNG, JPEG, or GIF. I'm going to leave it at PNG because the file sizes tend to be better quality. And I'm going to click Export and save it to my desktop. Now, when I go on Schoology, if I'm not mistaken, I created this shoe around November. So I'm going to click the plus sign right next to my color wheel, click Upload, and then I'll be able to integrate my shoe design as part of the overall portfolio. Because I'm putting in the shoe design a little later, I want to make sure I click on focus points, select entire image is important, so that when I go to display my final portfolio, each of the images is uniformly sized. I'm going to take a moment to do my caption, update the title, update the date, and talk about what was most successful. Now that I updated my caption, I also want to talk about any files that you did not export correctly when they were due. So I had several Photoshop files that I never exported to PNG or JPEG or any other raster format. For example, I had created this demo file of a Hibiscus Beauty logo that I just randomly created for class, and I never exported it in any final draft format. But I do want to include it in my portfolio because I think it's attractive. So this is where I'm going to take a moment, go to File, Export, Export As, and I'm going to make sure that I export it in a raster format such as PNG, JPEG, or GIF so that I can actually view it within Schoology and within Sway. Now that I exported my Hibiscus Beauty logo, I can integrate it into my portfolio, and again I'm basically just repeating all of my steps here. Copying a caption, editing the focus points, and so forth. So if you have any files that you would like to include in your portfolio that you did not export correctly, now is the time for you guys to go and open them up once again in Photoshop or Illustrator, format them correctly, and integrate them into your overall portfolios. All this time, we've been working on our storyline. So in Sway, there's 2 different ways to approach a given presentation. Storyline is where you add all of the components of your presentation. So where we added our text and our images and this slideshow. Design is where we can go and edit the look of it. By default, Sway is going to select a random template, which you can view by clicking on play. And as you can see, Sway selected a very boring template for me. It just has a white background and a very austere kind of serif font. Doesn't really work for me. You can also see that the template has me scroll down in order to see the rest of the presentation. If I click on Edit, and I can flip over to Design, then Styles, in this like top ribbon, I can select different templates available within Sway. Vertical is just like the name implies. You have to go and scroll down, up and down, so that you can view the content in the presentation. Horizontal, like the name implies, has a different orientation where you have to scroll from left to right to see the design. And then slides is kind of like a PowerPoint where you have to actively click one slide at a time. Personally, I don't like slides, so I'm going to leave it at vertical. My previous example was set to horizontal, where I basically would scroll to the right in order to see all the content in my portfolio. I'm going to leave this new portfolio as vertical in the orientation. Then I'm going to scroll down and click on any one of these templates. I happen to prefer this particular row of templates because it has a very organized, structured design with a pretty pattern background. You can select any of these that appeal to you the most. So you can select one with a pattern background like this, or like this, or you can select one with a solid color background, like this. I would stay away from the bright, intense colors in the background, however. This orange is a little bit intense, so I would probably stick to a more muted color scheme for the background and then bright colors for the headings and the actual content of your portfolio. You also want to stay away from this bottom row. This bottom row is very silly. As you can see, that little cupcake wallpaper background and this scrapbook style background is inappropriate for a portfolio. So I would recommend you stay away from the bottom row because you want your portfolio to look as professional as possible. You can further customize your design by selecting a template, and if I realize, for example, the font within that template is not to my liking, I can click the button that says Customize, and you'll see several of the images that I used within my portfolio listed here. So I can click on any one of these photos, for example the color wheel here, and it's going to present me alternative options with different colors pulled from that image. So for example, if I want this big header to be in yellow, I could select this option or this option that integrates the bright yellow. Probably not the best choice, however, because it's a little intense and overwhelming. Underneath, you have the font choices. So right here you can see that it's using a grouping of Arial as the basic font. If I expand on that, I can select different font options for my overall presentation. As I explained to you guys in previous classes, you want to select sans serif fonts for any work that you're going to view on a screen. Sans serif means that it doesn't have little legs on the corners. So something like this Rockwell Nova, is an example of a serif because it has those little legs on the bottom of the N, little legs on the bottom of the Y, and so forth. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that font, it just may not be quite as appropriate for something that you're going to view on a screen. Regardless, you guys can select whatever font combination you like, although I would recommend staying away from something like this, which looks tacky. Underneath, you can select whether you want to make the text size a little larger. I always select large so that people don't squint when they have to see my portfolio on a phone or a tablet. You can always click play and visualize what that looks like when you go and present that to the class and share it with people. And if there's something that you don't like, for example, if I realize my images are not sized correctly, or the font just not working for me, or whatever the case might be, you can always go back and select a different template to start over. At this point, you want to take a moment to review your portfolio. You should have your bio, you should have your artist statement, and you should have 10 images included in some kind of stack or slideshow or grid. All of the images should be sized professionally and uniformly, meaning that when I click on them, they should all be showing the image in full size, and no parts should be cut off within the slideshow or grid. You should also be able to expand on each image so that you can read a short caption explaining what is successful about the image and what you are proud of the most. Some of the templates may show the caption on the side by default. For example, I'm going back to Storyline, and I'm just going to show you, for the sake of argument, what it looks like on the grid. When I click play, you'll see that some of the images are now a little bit more visible, so that the person just has to go and click on the caption to enlarge it and then read all about the work. I don't particularly like this group type, so I'm going to go back to slideshow. Regardless, I should be able, when I review your work, to be able to read the captions for each image that you're presenting in your portfolio. When you're done editing all the parts we talked about, we're going to click on share. You guys are going to send me a link to your portfolios. To send the link to your portfolios, what you're going to do is click on anyone with a link. You have to make sure that you guys select this option that says anyone with a link. If you select one of the previous options, I may not be able to view your URL, so please select anyone with a link. And then you guys are going to click either copy link, or you can click get embed code and click copy to clipboard. When you go to Schoology and you're ready to submit your portfolio to me, you're going to click on the Submit Assignment button. You're going to flip over to the tab that says Create next to Upload, and then inside of this box, you guys are going to paste the link to your portfolio and then click the blue Submit button again. I wish I could show you from my teacher's point of view, but it's not an option, so you're going to have to try to follow these screenshots as best as possible. So to review with you, you click the Submit Assignment, flip to Create in the tab Options, and then you can paste a link to your portfolios so that I will be able to review your presentations. I hope that's been helpful to you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I truly cannot wait to see your portfolios and the culmination of all the hard work that you've done here in class. Hit me up if you have any questions. Peace out.